Hi guys, welcome to Learning Rabbit. In this lecture, we're going to be talking about the things that we have missed in the previous videos. This is going to be the last video of the Docker series, and in this we will catch up with the things that couldn't make into the previous videos. So let's get started. First, we'll understand the few Docker commands that I've left out that I think that you should at least be aware about. Next, we'll talk about how we can mount the secrets using the Docker Compose file. I actually missed this. This part when we were discussing about Docker Compose. The next would be to talk about the multi-stage builds in Docker. This is quite interesting. Uh, then we'll talk about Docker image layer caching, how Docker images how Docker creates layers when you write a Docker file. So we'll look into that so you can optimize the way you write a Docker file. That is also quite interesting. And at the end, we'll talk about the journey. What is going to come ahead after this Docker course? What I'm going to make and what are you going to learn next after this Docker course? The first command is the Docker commit command. We can use this command to take a snapshot of a running Docker container. This is helpful when you want to take a snapshot of the running container for your debugging purposes. During the snapshot, your Docker process is going to pause for a while, and then the snapshot will be taken. And you can toggle this pause period. There's an option for that. Then you have a Docker attach command. What it does is, as the name suggests, you just attach to a running container. So you just do a Docker attach, and then you can give your container name or container ID, and it's just going to attach to that container. And this is helpful because when you use this command, you can just type in your terminal the commands that you may want to run inside of Docker container, and it will look like as if you're typing commands on your container, but you're actually firing them inside the Docker container. So that is why I've said that it is going to attach your own terminal, your terminal's input, output, and the error string with the Docker container, so you can just talk to it seamlessly. Now is the time to discuss about secrets and how do we declare them in the compose file. First, secrets are quite necessary when you want to save confidential data. I've talked about this in my previous video. If you have not watched that, go and watch that out. The secrets are actually mounted into the container over a secure connection, so they are actually safe. No one can sniff over them. They are unmounted when the container is stopped. And below, I have this snippet that you can refer when you want to create a secret for yourself. For example, here we have one service. This is the container. I actually gave an introduction to Docker Compose in my previous lecture. If you want to check that out, the link would be here, and just click on it. Just go and watch that out. It's pretty great. So this is the first container named Redis. It is using the Redis latest image, and these are the secrets that it is trying to use. So we'll ignore the my other secret for now. Just focus on the my secret here. So my secret has been declared under the secret session here, and this secret has been populated from an external file named my secret, from an external file called mysecret.txt. So say you have this mysecret.txt somewhere in your file system. You refer that here. Then you give a name to the secret. That's the my secret, and we are going to refer this secret into our container, which is the Redis container, and we just mounted this secret here. Secrets by default, they are mounted on run secrets directory, and under the run secrets directory you'll find a secret name. That is going to be the secret that you want to use. And if you want to list down all the secrets, you can just do docker secret ls, and it's going to list down all the secrets that you have. Make sure for that Docker Swarm is enabled. Docker Swarm is something else that is not part of this course, but you can read about that on the Docker's website. So the gist of using secrets in a compose file is that you can just create a secret here, have a type of secret here. For example, this is a file type secret, so it is going to fetch information from a file. then you can just mount those secrets by referring their names inside the secret. And if you want to view them, you can view them in the slash run slash secrets directory inside a Docker container. Next is to look at the image caching. Every command in a Docker file creates a layer. So consider this small snippet here. Something a simpler Docker file would look like this. You have a from in which you'll declare your base type, your OS. Then you'll copy some stuff, for example, and then you want to run some command. And at the end of it, you give a command that you want to run when the container comes up. Let's see how many layers this creates. So the first layer, Docker actually starts reading this file from this point onwards. So it reads the from statement and creates a layer for the from statement. Then it comes down to the copy command and it creates another layer on top of that. Then it reads the run and creates another layer on top of the copy command. Similarly for the CMD. All these commands, they are just differences from the previous layers. They are just the deltas that Docker stores here. So at any point of time, if you make changes in any layer, all the layers below that layer, or in this case, any layer above that, will be invalidated. It will not be pulled out from the cache. It will be created again. So for example, I am installing a software at this point of time. And for example, that software takes a lot of time. And if I change this statement, if I add another command here, the statement is going to change and the software installation is going to trigger again. So that is going to take time. So make sure that if you have multiple run commands, multiple copy commands, you cannot deal with multiple copy commands, but say you have multiple run commands, make sure that you combine them with the and operator just like you do in Linux, instead of having multiple run keywords in your Dockerfile, just to optimize the number of layers that this Docker creates for you. So make sure you do that. And you should always organize your Docker file from the least changing item to the most frequently changing item. Next is the concept of multi-stage builds. So most of the time we see that we may want to give a different Docker file for development, for testing, and a different Docker file for the production. So in this case, the upper block, this represents a Docker image which can be used in a development part where we are creating the artifact and outputting in on the app. This is the output that we create here. And below is another Docker file, that's a lean Docker file, which is a production based Docker file, in which what we're doing is that we just copy this artifact that was created. We just pulled it out from this image and put it somewhere in the local system, and then we are copying that again into a different container, because this is a different Docker file now. So we are actually maintaining two Docker files, but we can actually combine these and form a multi-stage build. And let's see an example for it. So we combine these two Docker files into just one Docker file, and in the second Docker file we're just referring this with the number 0. Consider this as an array based index. So every from tag starting from the top is given a number, starts from 0. So that is why I'm referring to this block, this whole block, which was outputting this app file. So this app file was this app file actually belonged to the first base image. This image can be referred to as 0, or we can have an alias to this by using an as command here. And just like you see this now in the second Docker file, in the second in a multi-stage build, we are just going to combine these Docker files into one, just like we have done it on the right side. and we're going to use the artifact created by this part, and we are going to use that in this. So Docker is going to ignore this, and this will not end up in your final Docker image, so that will keep your Docker lean. It is just going to use whatever we are using here. So what we're using is, we're going to copy this path, this app which was outputted here. Since the working directory was this, app was the output, so the app goes inside the working directory. That is why the final path becomes the working directory and the app file. So we copying that from the 0th base image. 0th base image is this. We're copying that from the base image to our present working directory, and then we're just running that. So in this case, we do away with the multiple files here now, and we can also do away with the fat files that get created as part of the process of building. So Docker is going to ignore this part and will just use this. And this can refer to the base images above. So this is the simple concept of multi-stage builds. If you ever want to try that out, this is a good example. And I copied this instead of showing that code, because that's going to be a big thing, and I just wanted to keep this video short. So that is why I just copied that stuff directly from the Docker page. You can visit that. I'm going to share the links to all these references in the YouTube description, and you can just check them out. So these are all the things that were remaining that I couldn't cover up in the previous video, so I made another video for all of them. And now we're actually down to the end of Docker series. And now we have one thing left now. One thing that we require to move ahead. That is the plan that is going to come next. We are going to talk about Kubernetes in the upcoming lectures. Kubernetes, K8s, or Kubernetes, I don't know what do you want to call it, but if you want to learn Kubernetes, do follow my channel, because in the upcoming videos, obviously I'm going to make a different playlist for that, but in those playlists, I'm going to add information about Kubernetes. I'm going to tell you about Kubernetes. We're going to do a lot of hands-on on that. And we're going to build on the Docker application that we had till now, like the hashtag monitor. And we're going to convert that application into a Kubernetes application. Kubernetes is actually, right now at least, it's the hot thing out in the market. And if you really want to succeed in the DevOps field, or even in your development environment, if you really want to grasp on things happening in your infrastructure level, you actually need to understand how Kubernetes works. So in the upcoming lectures, I'm going to talk about that. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, tell your friends about it, and keep learning. Till then, it's bye-bye from Learning Rabbit.